Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and specifically welcome back to a stupid game of World of Tanks. And how does a stupid battle in World of Tanks begin? Of course it begins with me being AFK at the start of the game. What was that? I wasn't even playing for the first 15 seconds. And as everybody knows, those first 15 seconds are very important for getting to where you need to go. But the 30 seconds before the battle begins is probably the most important time. You have to take a look down your team list. You have to take a look down the enemy team list and try and figure out where you're going to fit in with the game and try and create that plan. Think about the weakness of the enemy team, the one that you can be able to exploit. I didn't do any of that here. I was probably on my desktop trying to catch up with things. And the way that I'm driving in a straight line here and that I haven't moved my mouse in a while suggests that I'm probably on my desktop, maybe trying to sort out a couple of things while I was streaming at the same time. You know you're going to have a pretty stupid game of World of Tanks when you are playing like a complete moron at the beginning of the battle. Look at this. I'm not even driving around the corner. I'm just driving in like zigzags around. Am I trying to make an already slow tank take as long as it possibly can to be able to get to the front? Yeah, possibly. Alright, so today I'm going to be playing on my Plays for Free account, the account where I haven't spent anything on, and then immediately people will be questioning, well, how do you have the TS5 if you haven't spent anything on it? It's because I completed Wargaming's Mission Marathon. I had to spend about 30 or 40 hours of my life to be able to earn the vehicle, but I didn't actually have to pay for it, at least, so I guess it still counts. And if you do have a lot of time, then you can manage to get yourself a vehicle like this by participating in one of them. On my Plays for Free account, I don't use any premium consumables, which definitely puts me at a tremendous disadvantage compared to my main account, especially the premium consumable, which just makes your vehicle 5% better. And the margin of 5% in World of Tanks can be something that's insurmountable in a lot of situations. However, this vehicle, the TS5, actually does incredibly well on my Plays for Free account. It's got decent penetration on its standard rounds, 248, which means that you don't have to load the gold too much, but if you do, it's got 300mm of penetration, which should be more than enough to deal with the front of any vehicle in the game that isn't exceptionally well angled. And the high explosive rounds as well, I take a good slab of them. With 60mm of penetration and 515 alpha, you can use those to be able to lock down your opponent's tracks, at least for now, until Wargaming release the HE changes, which are pretty much coming, I'd say, in about a week or two. Most likely 10 days. Usually on the European server, the patch will come out on a Wednesday, so I don't think it'll be this Wednesday, but I think it will be the subsequent Wednesday. Anyway, use them while you got them, right? And even with the HE changes, they're still going to be useful against weakly armored vehicles, especially shooting through tracks and also into weakly armored vehicles, and also for splashing on the front hull armor on very thickly armored tanks when you need to do a very small amount of damage to them. Talking about a small amount of damage, what we're going to do to this tier 10 Polish medium tank, the CS63, could never be considered a small amount of damage. The damage per minute on this vehicle is truly exceptional. It's 2,823 base, and that's before you get a gun rammer, that's before you get brothers in arms, that's before you put vents on the tank, it's before you really set the vehicle up to maximize its output. And you are picking apart any vehicle in the game within a minute. Even in a mouse, you're going to be taking apart. Or most likely the kind of vehicles that you're going to be meeting, those tier 8 tanks, or the real juicy matchups like those tier 6 matchups, you're picking apart vehicles in 15 seconds. You don't want to sit in front of this vehicle for very long indeed. So a little bit of a misplay here by me. I'm so focused on the CS63, and while I get rewarded for the shot, did you see that the 121 literally just drove straight up? I guess I was truly focused, and I knew that this Polish medium tank was going to pull across, and I have to try and get them out of the game as quickly as possible. But still, I'd say I should have at least aimed at the 121, right? Let's just say that I was so stupid in my lack of focus about getting the Chinese medium tank that it actually paid off that I was able to get the Polish one, and then I get an extra round into the Chinese medium tank as well. And this is where you can have such a large impact in your tier 8 tanks. I've dealt 1,600 damage to tier 10 vehicles. That's absolutely phenomenal. It can really put the game into your team's favor because that takes a lot of the pressure off your mid-tier tanks or even your top-tier tanks to have to deal with the tier 10 vehicles on the enemy team. And there we can see the FV4005 finishing off the CS63. Now, whether they needed me to shoot them those 3 times or not is another question, considering it was an FV4005 and it's capable of doing those 1,750 alpha damage big bomb splashes for 8,000 credits, right? But I'm going to pretend like it was still my impact and a little bit helps there. Alright, so I'm going to fire at this T-69 and I'm going to expect my Leopard prototype and the Kampfpanzer to deal with them because I know, you see what's coming around the corner? Yeah, there's a lot of tanks that are going to be coming around the corner. We're going to have to deal with a Jagdpanzer E100, a T110 E4, a Ferdinand, an Object 430 UN, a Tiger II, and my Patton has quite rightly, I guess, run away to leave me for my demise. I'm having a bit of a stupid moment here. I'm shooting at the Ferdinand, preparing an ambush as he comes around the corner, and the T-69 is just not shooting me for the last half a minute. The Kampfpanzer goes in, dies to the T110 E4, and the T-69 still doesn't shoot me, but the 122 TM does. All right, I just realized, was I not fighting? I was fighting against the tier 10 Chinese tank, the 121. Anyway, look, Ferdinand over the... Yeah, that's not going to work, but I guess the Ferdinand didn't expect us to have such a good reload. And the T110 E4 does it as well. They come up over the ridge, slide around, and yeah, I didn't think the game could get more stupid, but I will pick up a freebie on that tier 10 American tank destroyer. And I have to admit, now you can see I'm getting quite excited in the game. Almost my camera was wiggling there. I was probably laughing my behind off at the fact that we dealt with that Ferdinand and a tier 10 TD, and now this Object 430 is like, do you think it's a good idea for me to be able to go over this ridge? Looks like my friends have actually managed to die here. Yeah, probably wouldn't. And this completely overpowered American tank destroyer, the TS5, it is the best tier 8 tank destroyer in the game, all in all for having an impact in your battles, now proceeds to, this is ridiculous, wiggle its way up the slope, wiggling the Ferdinand out of the way, and by wiggling our tracks here to the left and to the right, we actually managed to gain traction up behind the Ferdinand, and we've slipped back up the slope. Oh dear, is this really going to happen? Are we going to be able to pick up a kill on the Object 430? Oh, who are you kidding? You know it is. At least you've watched the replay before you've started to commentate on it, right? Yeah, that was such a satisfying moment to be able to pick apart the Object 430 and then to put a round here into the Tiger II, who's forced to repair their tracks. Our artillery manages to splash them, and of course, if the artillery has splashed them, I'll take my chances in front of them. Unfortunately, the TS5, while it is an incredibly good tank, doesn't have a very flexible gun with regards to its gun depression, which is actually limited at 5 degrees, and its gun arc is also quite narrow compared to the Turtle at tier 8. And so we're unable to be able to depress the gun over the ridgeline to be able to find the extra shot into the Tiger II, but it's not really going to matter because we put one into the side of his turret there. And oh my word, this game... Just look at the graveyard. I'm not saying that we created this single-handedly, but to be able to pick up 4 kills and just to be able to encourage this kind of level of stupid from tier 10 tanks, while also getting all of those tremendous shots against the vehicles that were in the center. Yeah, that was my kind of jam, boys and girls. Although, with the 122 TM, who actually has the Silver League badge, meaning that they at least can't be a complete idiot in World of Tanks, this game's still fairly close, considering that I've got 20 of the hit points and the 122 TM actually manages to hit the Patton here. I started to get very worried. The way that I saw this game going was the 122 TM shooting the Patton as they come around the corner, and then the Centurion 5-1, who I have no idea if they're a good player or not. They're called Pro Noob 420. I'm not sure if that really helps me know whether they're a good player or not, so I'm going to ask the Patton to wait for me and to fall back. And I'm going to try and get down in this slope, try and cross this water, think about whether for a second that I actually can manage to cross this water, and then just say, hey, we're going to do it anyway. Luckily for us, however, it looks like the Centurion is more of a pro than a noob, and I checked the post-game stats afterwards, and this Patton was actually an exceptional player. And so I feel like a bit of an idiot saying, wait for me a couple of times like some little lost schoolgirl at the back of the map, while the Patton and the Centurion pull off a pretty tremendous fight here against the 122 TM to be able to take down the battle. And they say, nah, and I say, never mind, good job, friends. Yeah, thanks for carrying me at the end there against the 122 TM. And I feel like a bit of a silly sausage, or a stupid muppet for thinking that they needed my help there. One thing's for sure though, if you are going to have these kind of completely foolish games where people, no names, end up doing some pretty stupid things, Yeah, playing a vehicle like this, one of your super heavy tank destroyers, does feel like it deals quite well with it. And maybe I should try and end up in a few more of these kind of games, because we've got 1,752 base experience points, 5,200 damage. We don't quite get the high caliber. I wonder if the M46 pattern managed to take that away from us, and we make a tremendous profit as we didn't fire any premium rounds. All in all, this still has to be one of my favorite things about playing World of Tanks, even after a decade. The amount of stupid in the game is just too darn high, and it does make for some classic moments, and also when it comes to YouTube, some classic content. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video on the first weekend of its release, I have got drops enabled on my channel all weekend. And one of the highlights is that apart from getting yourself the Shield of Allure style after 240 minutes, after an hour and 50, you're guaranteed to get yourself a day of premium time. And so if you're playing World of Tanks, put me on in the background. You can go and get yourself some extra experience and credits. So looking forward to seeing you all. Have a lovely weekend, everyone, whatever you get up to. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you soon.